Microsoft launches MAI Thinking One reasoning model. The absence of any distillation step gives Microsoft full ownership of its reasoning weights from the first token. Teams running regulated workloads will test the new model first because the training lineage is now fully documented end-to-end. Enterprises now face a real choice between API convenience and verifiable data controls that no external model can match. This forces Anthropic to either match the transparency claims or retreat further into closed enterprise contracts that slow down sales cycles by months. OpenAI breaks ground on Stargate, Michigan campus. Power contracts tied to the Michigan site lock in electricity rates 30% below current spot prices for the next decade. Grid operators in neighboring states are already modeling the draw and preparing new transmission lines that will take 2 years to complete. Inference costs for models hosted there drop accordingly, but only for workloads that can tolerate the location. This forces Google and Amazon to accelerate competing Midwest builds or watch their enterprise margins compress on latency-sensitive deals. GitHub Copilot token billing triggers 50x spikes. Developers running multi-step agents now see monthly bills that rival their entire cloud infrastructure spend. Finance teams are already flagging Copilot as a new line item that requires approval gates before any agentic feature gets enabled. Teams will cut agent sessions by half within 6 months or migrate to fixed-price competitors. Cursor gains the clearest opening yet to capture users who refuse variable pricing on daily coding work. Expect approval processes to slow agent adoption across mid-size engineering groups. Anthropic expands Mythos AI via Glasswing program. Security teams gain access to a model trained specifically to detect novel attack patterns without relying on signature databases. That shifts detection from reactive rules to proactive simulation of zero-day behavior. Palo Alto Networks must now decide whether to embed comparable reasoning layers or lose ground on next-generation firewall renewals. Adoption inside government agencies will reveal whether the model reduces false positives enough to justify the added latency on live traffic. CASOs will run parallel pilots this quarter before committing budget. Meta eyes $200 per month for Hatch AI agent. $200 a month makes this a premium play aimed at professionals already deep in productivity tools. Most consumers will stick with free tiers elsewhere. This forces OpenAI to expand its budget agent options by mid-next year or risk ceding everyday task automation to lower-priced competitors. Early usage patterns will show whether the tool creation features deliver enough time savings to justify the cost for a wider audience. Watch the churn on existing SaaS tools as a leading indicator. Anthropic files confidentially for IPO. Confidential filings keep the exact numbers under wraps for now. The real pressure comes after the listing when quarterly results expose compute costs against revenue. This forces Microsoft to decide whether to deepen its investment or diversify partners ahead of those disclosures. Rivals without similar backing will struggle to match the pace of model releases once the market prices in the burn rate. Investors will focus on API margins rather than headline growth numbers in the first reports. ChatGPT hits 1 billion monthly active users. Reaching 1 billion monthly users so quickly widens the data moat faster than competitors can close it. Google now faces pressure to match training volume by loosening access to its own user logs within the next year. Smaller developers lose out on any chance to catch up on consumer preference signals. Retention becomes the next metric everyone tracks once acquisition costs flatten. Enterprise deals will hinge on custom fine-tuning access that only this volume supports. Expect vertical tools to follow. Google rolls out Gemini Spark 24/7 agent. Always-on access to email and calendars raises the bar for what users expect from any assistant. Apple must now accelerate its on-device alternatives or accept a narrative loss in productivity features by next spring. Cloud-based agents also surface new privacy questions that regulators will examine closely. The rollout to select users first will test stability before wider demands hit the infrastructure. Latency complaints will surface quickly if the 24/7 promise slips under load. Watch latency metrics in early feedback. DriveNets raises $410 million for AI networking. The real test starts when these fabrics hit production clusters running 50,000 H100s. DriveNets claims its architecture cuts interconnect costs by half compared with legacy InfiniBand setups. That margin pressure now lands on Arista's book of business. Expect them to counter with aggressive discounts on their own AI-optimized switches before the next earnings cycle closes. Hyperscalers will run both stacks on identical workloads. The one that delivers higher sustained throughput under real training noise keeps the contract for the year after. South Summit urges unified European AI market. Germany's data rules just became the blocking factor for every EU AI startup that needs diverse training sets. The call to drop internal borders puts direct pressure on Berlin. Regulators there now face a choice to harmonize sharing agreements with France and Spain inside 12 months or watch talent and compute budgets move to whichever capital offers the cleanest access first. The first companies to test the new regime will show whether usable datasets actually appear by next summer. AI boom propels stock markets to records. Power purchase agreements signed last year already look underpriced against the new demand curve from AI clusters. Utilities locked into fixed rates now absorb the hit when data center loads exceed prior forecasts by 30%. Expect contract renegotiations to surface in the next 2 quarters as operators scramble for additional gigawatts. Smaller utilities without scale will default first, handing market share to the largest players who can absorb the volatility through pre-negotiated backup supply deals by year-end. Microsoft unveils Health AI moonshot at Build. Hospital procurement teams just got a new reference architecture to benchmark against every other vendor pitch. This moves the goalposts for Google DeepMind and every other health model builder. They must now either release comparable clinical validation data or accept that Microsoft defines the evaluation standard inside every major hospital system for the next buying cycle. The first hospital chain to adopt will set the pattern others copy within 6 months. Smaller providers follow the leader to skip separate frameworks,